Welcome to another episode of Slick Works, and in this episode I'm finally getting started on my friend Billy's 1980 Monte Carlo. So I've got his car fully mapped out, pretty much everything that needs to be done as far as fitting the car up, bodywork, every little bit that has to be feathered out, previous work that was done on the car that has to be corrected, everything that you see is circled. That's deformation in the panel. Everything that you see that slashes like that is just probably could be sanded out, feathered out, right? So yeah, but first we gotta start with this. Ooh. So this side definitely got the worst of it, and looks like a previous owner tried to stick some silicone on there, and really what they did is just trap a whole bunch of moisture in there. But yeah, look at this. Oh yeah. Not much left to work with there, but thankfully we have parts that don't fit. Show you what I mean by that. So if we line this guy up right about there, oh, by the way, look, it's the wrong curve too, so I gotta cut it and reshape it anyways. If we line this guy up right about there, that's as close to that curve as we're gonna get it, right? We come look down here. Wait a minute. We need like a good 5 inches more. Luckily we have a right and a left, so I'll be able to cut them both down the middle, cut a section out of one, weld it in, stretch it out, cut this section out, rebuild the curve, re-weld it. Cue the intro, then I'm gonna start pulling parts off this thing. Okay, well I got the front end off of old Montgomery Burns here, and so Billy's got these aftermarket front bumpers. I was really hoping they were polypropylene, just because they're so much easier to work with. You can heat them and reshape them if you have to, but they are in fact fiberglass. Unfortunate, but it's what we got, so we're gonna have to deal with it, right? Interesting thing about these aftermarket bumpers versus the factory ones is this whole disgusting piece here is actually molded in. So it's molded into the plastics on here. Another thing about aftermarket stuff, they just really love giving us restoration guys headaches. Like, I mean, here we see we got our holes to mount the header panel to the bumper. We have our centering pins to mount the header panel to the bumper. All this just makes it so much easier. There's a bit of a step down here. Over here, this is where there's 2 rivets that were welded onto the rebar behind the bumper. And if we come back to the aftermarket bumper, we have nothing. We have a blank slate. There's no spots for rivets. There's no spots for license plate bolts. You just gotta figure it out. They're like, yep, you're on your own, bud. On the factory bumper, there's this huge step down, and the header panel is molded the exact same way. So on this one, flat. Also here, where the bumper mounts to the body itself, centering pins, right? Bolts, holes for the bolts. Nothing. We get nothing. Like, these aftermarket companies have no idea what it's like to actually work on cars. They just kind of press them into a mold, pump and dump, get their money. Okay, so just getting this garbage fit up here, and got it reasonable on this side. I've been flexing the other side so it kind of sticks out a little, but it's close. It's just kind of clamped in place for now. But here's where the problem is. Fiberglass is so rigid, and this is exactly what I was hoping this would be, polypropylene. So if I try to flex this in, look what's happening over here. See, it's bowing up. So for this, I pretty much have no choice but to flex it all the way in, get it lined up as good as I can with the fender, and then make a relief cut in the dead center of this, and then I'll have to V it out and glass it back together, which is unfortunate, but just working with what we got. Cut, 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 cut. Let's see if it fits now. So it's been a few weeks since I've worked on this thing, and as you can see, the back bumper is off. Unfortunately, the fiberglass bumpers are not gonna work. Billy actually came out. We spent like a solid 4 or 5 hours on this car. We even I'll show you. We even cut the rebar so that the bumper would fit on. We cut off part of the egg carton here. So the bumper fit on, only the whole thing was like 1/2 inch too thin. So we're kind of like, well, we're into this for hours and hours and hours. It's like, how much do you want to spend on trying to make this work? So it turns out the solution is we're going back to these factory bumpers, although they are kind of flimsy and kind of crumbly, but I think they're usable with some high build, with some flex agent in it. Yeah, we pretty much have no choice at this point. But what I gotta start on is, I know we got these, told you guys about those terrible replacement pieces. So previous owner saw some rust forming, so previous owner decided to stick some goop on here, which basically just trapped condensation in there. And so now it is completely rusted out. So I gotta either use these to try and make them work, which they might, or I could make my own piece to go in here. So I'm gonna get this whole area cleaned up and then make an executive decision about this after it's all cleaned up. Okay, so as you can see, spot weld's drilled out and our bracket behind here is loose. There we go. So now we're totally separated there. Well, it ain't pretty, but I got all the reveal moldings off the back glass, got this finish panel out of here, so everything's out of the way. I just need someone to help me lift this deck lid off because it's super heavy. So I'm gonna hit the pause button on that and start sanding on the roof.
Thousand years later.
Back on old buddy Billy's car. Well, as I'm sure you saw before, I had these two pieces, one for each side. So now I've cut them both up in a way that I think will work the best. Was hoping to use as much of this section as I can, but I actually can't because this section here is about 1/4 inches fatter than this little cylinder here. So it kind of sucks. I got to cut it like this now down the middle and stitch it in. Why that sucks is if I was to cut it right here, which is the initial plan, I can go ahead and take my grinder, knock the welds down nice and easily. With it being cut halfway on this flat part, I got that wall and that wall in my way, so I cannot get it flat. So I have to use like a stone wheel, which is gonna suck. But anyways, this is obviously totally the wrong curve. So I have to cut a slit along that edge, bend this down to match the curve, and then there will be a triangle. Probably, actually the triangle will look very similar to this open section right in here. So I'm gonna have to cut a piece of steel out and then weld it to the upper there, right on the edge, and then weld it to wherever it winds up on this side too. Now for this side, I already have it marked out. I just been trimming and trimming a little bit with this, just to start it out. So if that is lined up with that line there, this is kind of where the curve's gonna start. And again, on this side, I'm gonna have to kind of do the same sort of thing, is cut it right there, fold this around, make a little pie that'll fit perfectly in there. And we should be in pretty good shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse that tomorrow, because it's nighttime. Whew. So I just got out of my truck and the door swung itself open. Oh, very thankful that I pulled up on that patch of snow right there. Cue the time lapse. So I've got piece 1 of 2 cut out, and I just cut off this rusty lip, just took seconds, so that I could line up this piece that fits perfectly in there. So I had this piece lined up, I clamped it down, so traced out the section of steel of the body of the car that has to be cut out for this. Oh, there she goes. All right, well, we got the booth heated up. We've got Billy's car all masked up and ready for white primer. So it'll be nice to see the car all in one color, that's for sure. Unfortunately, we won't be painting it because we're out of budget because of the ridiculous amount of bodywork that had to go into getting this thing reasonably straight. I mean, it's not even show car straight. It's like streetable straight, but holy cow, the amount of work that we had to put into this thing to get straight-ish. Whew. But it is going to look really good in about 45 minutes. Well, I'm back in the shop, and it's the same day as when I primed Billy's Monte Carlo because I need to correct a few things. Woo! It is 20 degrees in here. For my American friends, that's 70 Fahrenheit. It is also ridiculously bright in here. But yeah, so the doors, I'm sure you remember how horrible the doors are. Well, I laid her on a little heavy, boys and girl. Yeah, so the doors were terrible. So I slowed down my pass, and I kind of got bit in the butt for slowing down my pass there. The whole rest of the car is perfect except for this tiny little bit, but we're gonna let that slide. So this door, yeah, much better, but just a tiny little bit there. So while the car's all masked up, I've had the heat lamps on it for 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that. This is always, the paint booth is always the coldest part of the shop, and right now it is the warmest. But man, it is so nice to see this all in one color. Ah, Billy's gonna be excited. Anyways, mask it up, sand it down. Oh, it's an outdoor heater. Huh. Not leave inside unsupervised for 5 hours in a confined space while solvents evaporate kind of heater. Well, the doors are sanded out, and quick vent, I've had a stressful day. Actually, I've had a stressful week. Month? Maybe. Anyways, primer really needs to be shooken up good. So I come in here to shake this up. Totally locked up. Okay, so I got Billy's car all unmasked here, and this primer, I'll throw some clips over this video, but this primer is the weirdest primer I've ever unmasked because there is absolutely zero flex to it. Like, it comes off, flakes off the tape while I'm pulling tape. So a little bit concerned about the flexible parts, like those super rubbery front and rear bumpers. But I mean, it should hold up. And it's kind of an experiment too, because he'll be cruising the car for, 9 months or whatever until he brings it back for paint. So we'll have that amount of time to see where the flaws are in this product and if I want to use it again, if it can stand the test of time. So it's good. Moving on. Looks a little different than when you dropped her off, eh?
Oh my God, Mike. What the Wow, man. Yeah! Look at this thing, dude.
Drive safe, bro. Well, sad to see her leave, but love to watch her go for sure. And another Slickworks happy customer. If you like what you saw, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.